We had the newest addition to the Hunger Games franchise with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. But the question is, how do they rank among each other? So in this video, I'm going to be ranking all 5 Hunger Games movies in the franchise. Coming at the bottom is going to be The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. One of the common trends that movie franchises were doing that were based on books were splitting the last book into 2 movies. A lot of franchises were doing that, and this franchise was no exception to that. Where they ended up splitting the last book, Mockingjay, into 2 parts. And basically the thing that holds this movie back is it just feels like a setup movie to the part 2. It doesn't really have a, conclusion or anything like that. It just is featuring all these things to set up for the inevitable conclusion of part 2. By no means I don't think this is a bad movie. I still can get entertainment out of this movie and still like it for some reasons. But with this one, it does lack some of the thrills that some of the other ones have. There's no big battles in this one. So really with this one, you're just mainly getting the setup to the rebellion and to the eventual conclusion of the whole story. Speaking of which, next up on the list is going to be Mockingjay Part 2. The epic conclusion to the whole Hunger Games franchise, the whole Hunger Games story. Like I was saying before, how Mockingjay Part 1 was the whole setup. This is the conclusion. This is where we get most of the rebellion going on, most of the battles going on. This one definitely does get more emotional with a lot of character deaths. With this movie, we get the conclusion of the whole rebellion and the whole conclusion of the entire Hunger Games story. And when it was all said and done, it kind of gave us a bittersweet ending. But coming in next on the list is going to be the newest entry with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Honestly, in my opinion, this is actually a solid addition to the whole Hunger Games franchise. It did something that I was actually wondering if it could ever pull off, which gave us a character story of Snow, how we were able to almost feel for him and almost sympathize with his character, but also too it was able to bridge that gap of the character we know from the other Hunger Games movies and be able to give us those hints, those points coming across and being able to see that character come through. With the structure of this movie where it's actually split into 3 different parts within the movie, I think the first 2 parts are very good. And the third part is good in a way, but it also does kind of meander a little bit for me. At least in the first half. Second half does get a little bit, it picks up a little bit and gets a little bit better. This movie had a great cast behind it. And the way they were able to give us this movie where it takes place roughly 60 plus years before the first original movie. And being able to give us this early showing of the Hunger Games where it's more simplistic, more primitive. And being able to give us these early signs of the Hunger Games we know nowadays. Or really from the other movies that we know. But all at the center of it is the character of Snow, where basically the majority of the movie is taking place from his point of view. And they were able to show us what what his character is actually like, how we're able to see it through his eyes. And basically be able to see what drives him to become the character that we all know from the other original movies. I really did enjoy this movie, and I think upon sitting on it a little bit more and more repeated viewings, I think this could change positions in the future. Coming at the number 2 spot is going to be the original Hunger Games movie. With this movie, I really enjoyed it, and after reading the books right before the movies came out, I was able to enjoy this movie and be able to dive into this world of the Hunger Games and Panem. In this first movie, I think they did a pretty good job of setting up this whole world, giving us this whole lore of this whole franchise, bringing us into this world, being able to give us a great story with this first movie, and being able to set up stuff and have us looking forward to the future. It introduces us to the character of Katniss and her journey into becoming the whole face of the rebellion. We get other cast of characters that are also great. And with this first movie, just being able to thrust us into this world and give us a great story. But coming in at the top spot for me is going to be Hunger Games Catching Fire, the second movie in the Hunger Games franchise. With this movie, I think it actually elevates the first movie in a way, or is able to do things that pretty much enhance the first movie. We're able to dive more into the story to where we're actually getting Snow being more of a villain in this one. Seeing those early signs of the rebellion, And I just love the Hunger Games that they're able to put on in this one. I really enjoy it. This is probably my favorite Hunger Games that they're able to put on, to where we get these cast of compelling characters, but when they're thrust into the games and have to go against each other. And it's also too a very interesting arena where it's like split into 12 different parts, where each part is a different type of arena thing within itself. But really, with this movie, like I was saying, this one is definitely the one where it gets more into rebellion stuff, where we have Katniss sort of become this reluctant hero to where she doesn't even know she's really being the face of the rebellion, but she's thrust into this whole world of the rebellion, and Snow is trying to go against her, and she sort of becomes this reluctant hero. Really enjoy what they're able to do with this movie, where they sort of up the stakes in this one. But overall, when it comes to all the movies, I think the Hunger Games franchise is definitely a solid franchise. All the movies are pretty good to great in this franchise. There's still some of my favorite movies to watch. And honestly, I'm hoping to sort of get some more stories from the whole world of the Hunger Games and Panem. I think you could tell some interesting stories from this whole world, giving us more lore. So I'm definitely interested in seeing some more stories from them. But let me know down in the comments below, how would you rank all 5 of the Hunger Games movies? But that's going to do it all for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.